Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we are taking a look at the Nicholas, the Halloween event reward chip that you get for clearing the 6th circle in the Halloween event. We're going to go over everything you kind of need to know about it. We do have a sort of double feature of matches. This first match, we are running the good old Vincent Mordiff, the gunboat commander that I run on pretty much all of my American destroyers, because if you didn't know, Nicholas is an American destroyer. Over on PC, she is the tier 5 tech tree boat that you play through. She is a paper ship that precedes the Farragut, and as a result, you do see some of the Farragut's DNA, and it's important to really consider what the Farragut is, because Nicholas and Farragut are going to be compared a lot to each other, because of course Farragut is our tier 4 tech tree ship, and they have a lot of similar stats. So with Nicholas, the idea is pretty much one less gun, one more torpedo launcher is what you need to kind of think about. And remember, at this low of a tier, Americans don't have stealth launch torpedoes if you build into a gunboat, as we start firing at our fellow Farragut, our fellow American tier 4 destroyer. So with all that said, let's go ahead and talk about the match for a second. And we'll have to say, this is probably one of the most competitive matches I have had in a long time, and I did quite enjoy it. As far as what we're doing, well, we're heading over to A to try to capture this zone. From there, we're going to go ahead and decide what we can kind of do from here. We don't have much support. We just have a singular battleship sort of splitting off onto this side, but we're positioning in ourselves so that if we need to, we can get out of here very quickly and get into island cover once again, because Nicholas, you know, it's a destroyer, not exactly a lot of health to play with, but we do have that concealment. Now, as far as our setup goes, like I said, we went with Vinnie Mordoff, and I think that's because, you know, American monkey brain goes American destroyer, Vinnie Mordoff, or gunboat mortar destroyer, good, let's roll Daka Daka. Like that's the kind of default brain you kind of go with. So we'll go ahead and compare Nicholas to Farragut as if we have a mortar based kind of destroyer build on both of them, as we see that the circle that we are currently in is compromised and we're getting ready to get out, especially because it's an Emil Burton, which is a cruiser and it can hurt us. Thankfully, he had AP loaded. We're going to go ahead and pop our first smoke screen. As far as the consumables go on this vessel, we do have a nice full array of them, right? We have the good American smokes, we have the engine boost, and more interestingly, we do have the AA enhancement, and well, that does come in handy, or at least you think it comes in handy. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. You're going to see we're going to switch between our AP and HE here. Whenever we think we have a side shot at Emil, we are going to go ahead and try and get those citadels, because if we can get the citadels, we should be able to handle Emil fairly quickly. We should be able to turn the tables on it and get some decent damage. As you can see, he's starting to concentrate on us as our battleship has taken several torpedoes, and it's not looking good for him, but we are really doing the damage. Anyways, over to the stats. As we mentioned earlier, Nicholas does have one less gun compared to the Farragut, and that really does hurt its gun performance. You're looking at 66 rounds per minute compared to the 79 of the Farragut. You do have a slightly quicker reload per gun, but it is not made up by the loss of that one full gun. Your shell performance is identical, but because of that loss of the gun, to give you an idea of what the difference is in the DPM, Nicholas, you're looking at 135,000 DPM, where Farragut, you're looking at 160,000, almost 30,000 DPM of a loss, which is kind of massive if you're going to get in a straight-up gunfight. Torpedoes, this is where Nicholas is supposed to make up for all of this. She has 4 3-barreled 533s. She has a 66-second reload, 11,733 damage. These are just bone stock American torpedoes, 5.5 kilometer range, which with this build does not give you stealth launch, and they're going to travel about 56 knots. I think Farragut has 58 knots, so slightly slower torpedoes, but overall they're pretty much exactly the same. The other interesting stat from all of this is going to be the AA. So base it has 50 damage per second, which is not a lot. But the enhanced AA consumable that you do have on board does allow you to boost it to 200, which I think is a fairly significant number, right? It's not going to blow anything out of the water, but it does at least give you a little bit of extra protection when you inevitably get into a match with a carrier, especially at the lower tiers. As far as speed goes, you're looking at about a 37 knots, fairly maneuverable overall. And then as far as concealment goes for the ship, you're looking at only 5.8 kilometers, which, like I said earlier, means you're not exactly getting those stealth launch torpedoes. You kind of have to make do with ships pushing into you. So with all of those stats out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give a quick rundown of the rest of this match, because I do think originally this match was going to show a great deal of what Nicholas could do, and I wasn't too impressed with the ship. It's a rough ship to play when you build it for the guns. But more importantly, with this match, I think it's important to show off the tactics, because like I said, this is probably one of the most competitive matches I've played in a minute. Now, look at the spread currently of what's going on here. Over at sea, we have a full division of ships that have gone off to the right-hand side. Then we have a core home group who are just sitting behind that home island. You know, I guess the coal, they ran out of coal. They couldn't just move. They ran out of oil. I don't know. They were very happy just sitting behind that island for the rest of the game, and it does end up playing to our favor. Now, unfortunately, what's not going to play to our favor is the capture that just occurred, which means the enemy team is going to start to accrue points, and they are already ahead because they've sunk more vessels. But we are now incredibly close to this farragut, which is going to give us the opportunity to try and melt it down. He's incredibly low on health. I'm incredibly low on health. We are spotted, so we're going to go ahead and pop our smoke so we instantly disengage from those battleships so they don't have time to target us. We'll see if we can get a couple of rounds into them. I was most worried if the farragut had been able to launch any torpedoes at us, but thankfully it looks like he was unable to, which means now is the time where we are going to go ahead, use the smoke while we can. We're not going to see too much of an advantage from it, just because American boats, we only have a 5% chance to set fire, so it is a little rough. But we do have a fairly high cyclic rate on those guns. But now that we're out of the smoke, we're kind of recognizing we don't have the concealment to really do anything, and our priority needs to be capturing A. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We are going to go ahead and push into A to capture it. So here we are in A, and well, we're playing defensively. We don't have much health to be spotted. In fact, if we get spotted pretty much ever again in this match, we will most likely get destroyed by one of those boats, but we do need to try and get this Nevada. The good news is we did get A, which means now we are going to start to accrue points. And as far as positioning goes, we're in a fairly good position, and that's because, well, this Nevada isolated himself. Cool. As he goes down, there's two more battleships over on the other side, and they know a destroyer is here. And given that the Nicholas is what it is, I think they are probably just more afraid of a Nicholas being out and about, and they are going to be quite hesitant to push in. So if we can maintain the fear factor in A, then we have a pretty good chance of actually winning at it. And, well, I'll go ahead and fast forward. That's pretty much what we do. The lines kind of stay pretty still for the rest of the match. This California goes ahead, pushes in. The enemy aircraft carrier gets smart and realizes that there's a destroyer that he could probably spot in A, and he begins to go after us. We can go ahead and look at the wonderful anti-aircraft performance here and see just how lacking it is. And thankfully those bombs don't hit us, but you know, we are holding this for several seconds. We're going to dodge these shots from New Mexico, and we still haven't shot down a plane. Oh, hey, there's our first two planes. Go us. We finally shot down planes. Anyways, we're going to try to break line of sight on this New Mexico. And with that, that's pretty much going to be all of the rest of the action of this match, as we are down to the final seconds. But we end up taking the win just because, well, our team stayed in the back and we kept one place. So remember, folks, maybe you can make the difference in a match. And speaking of matches, let's get into our second match. Now, after looking at all the stats, I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and try Gleaves, because they built Farragut to be a gunboat. Let's see if Nicholas, with its extra rack of torpedoes, can be converted into a sort of torpedo boat. And while Nicholas will never become the kamikaze, I will say I was pleasantly surprised by its torpedo performance, and I think this is the build I'm going to end up sticking with. The full kind of Gleaves build, very much building into the torpedoes. Doing so does make this sort of a hybrid boat. I wouldn't say it's a full torpedo boat. The reload on the torpedoes is great, but the guns are still decent enough where you can go ahead and still put up a fight. And I do realize in this match, we do make a small tactical error off the bat. If you see, we had to see, and our other destroyer is also here at sea. But honestly, I think it's important. Out here at sea, we have the most area to kind of maneuver. Additionally, I think it's kind of the important spot to capture. We just saw in that last match how important it is to get those capture points, and well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We get a nice bonk on the nose of Renown. As far as what stats change when you build Nicholas into a gun or into a torp boat with Gleaves, your guns, they're going to go. The gun reload time on them is going to go up to 4.4 seconds, which is about 54 rounds per minute, which is still respectable. And for doing that, your torpedoes, you're going to reduce the reload time on them down to 54 seconds, 0.9 kilometer detectability on them, and they're going to go up to a range of 5.8 kilometers. And that is important because, well, with our last build, we had mortar. Mortar increases your detectability range. Here, we are going to go ahead and very much take advantage of a boost in concealment down to 5.2 kilometers, which means, yes, we do have the ability to stealth torpedo in this vessel. Excellent, right? It does very much change this vessel. As we take down Renown right there, T-22 going ahead and charge the smoke. We reversed out just because we wanted a little bit more time if that French destroyer decided to launch torpedoes at us. T-22, we're going to launch a set towards him, and you're starting to see the cyclic rate of these torpedoes. They are very nice. They are quite fun, and this is very... When you build it like this, as T-22 eats a torpedo, we're going to hit engine boost to try to edge our way around these torpedoes, turn in, and miss that other set of torpedoes right there. But when you build like this, Nicholas starts to feel like a little tier 4 Benham, and I really appreciate that, because Benham is one of my favorite tier 6 destroyers, and to be able to get a version of it in tier 4, that is compelling. That changes kind of what this ship does. Before, I was like, okay, do we really need Nicholas? But when you build it into the torpedoes, it at least allows for a different style of play, which is exactly what you need. We are trying to chase down this Geopard right there, see if we can get a hit on him. Of course, he's going ahead and capping C. We want to stay a little nimble just in case he has set any torpedoes in our direction. He is just a sneeze away as far as damage goes, and we're going to start to struggle. Of course, the American, what are they, 152s, I believe? They get floaty and a little hard to hit at those ranges. Omaha, doing his thing where he spots us. We're like, okay, noted. Omaha, you were out in open water. Alls we have to do is go dark and wait like 20 seconds, 30 seconds for 2 salvos from any of our battleships, and you should be gone. In fact, he's down to already a third of health. So once we disappear here, we're going to be all set. We just need to wait a couple of seconds, and I'm sure our friend the Omaha will be no more, and we can start concentrating on these battleships. Now, as far as the game you have to play, your conceal distance to your max torpedo range still isn't great, right? It still is only 0.6 kilometers, which can be a bit rough, but that's kind of where Benham is. So it does make you play in this very fun, fluid fashion where you have to play right at the edge of your detectability in order to be successful as we try and get a hit on this Gepard. He is a slither of health away from dying. We did take out, what was that, his rudder or his engine? I'm sure he repaired it. We go ahead and get the fire. That knocks him out. Beautiful. We have these 2 battleships behind the island here. And, well, I don't want to do anything too hasty quite yet. I don't want to go ahead and rush them. It never makes sense to really torpedo rush battleships unless you're in, like, Paolo Emilio, just because you risk losing a lot of health from it. And usually there's a better way to spend that health as we take a massive slap from the Tennessee right there, and he goes down. But that still leaves the Arizona. We had only set 1 tube towards Arizona. We're going to put 1 set of torpedoes towards, or 1 rack towards him now, and then swing the boat around. Of course, given his proximity, it does mean that we will most likely get detected as we turn in. If we get detected, we know that Arizona will most likely gun it forward. So we're going to put a set of torpedoes nose forward, and then we're going to pop our smoke here because we can't afford to take another hit. We're going to flip over to the HE because, well, 1, 2, 3 torpedoes hit Arizona right there. And let's see if we can get a permafire going. Of course, his repair party is still going to be going right now, but anytime we can hopefully roll the die and hit get a fire as soon as we can, that would behoove us greatly. As far as our side of the map right now, we're doing okay, right? We're finally cap and C after half the match and almost all the ships being destroyed. We're finally cap and C. And, well, there's an enemy Arizona out there. We're going to try and yoink the kill right here. We're at 3 kills, man. I'm on the hunt for a Kraken at this point. Sadly, we don't take it right there. That's okay. We see our two battleships up north are duking it out together, and that leaves our 1 battleship down here and us. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing, we have the extra additional support. Bad news, he's been severely weakened from his earlier battle, which means we are most likely going to have to 1v1 this Arizona. And, well, it is going to be rough because Arizona, he kind of knows what's up. So we're going to try use that engine boost, get on an intercept course, because we know at least Arizona for now is going to be heading towards our fellow battleship. They're battleships. They're going to nose into each other. It's just what they're going to do, right? So we will head towards the intercept course. Of course, one of the fun tricks I like to use is if you follow your torpedo indicator, that usually sets up a pretty good intercept course for you. You know, it's going to be the most efficient place to try to reduce the distance between yourself and the enemy ship. Of course, with the spotting gone, we now realize probably a bad idea. We need to turn out because we need to get eyes on this Arizona and see exactly what he is going to do, because things could turn out badly for us if we go ahead and rush in. We could end up just absolutely throwing the match, as we are now down to a 2v2. We do see that he is within range again. We're going to set up the torpedoes. One, very much kind of cut back as if he's going to cut towards the island once again. We do that because realistically, it doesn't make sense for him to continue out into the open water, right? It makes way more sense for him to head towards either the capture point to try to get his team points, or head to the island to break spotting cover with us so that he isn't being spotted and he knows, you know, kind of where we are. So those are the two important factors. So we've launched our torpedoes. Of course, one thing I want to kind of shout out here is that really low 54 second reload time on these torpedoes. You can see we launched them. They haven't been successful, but we are nearly back up on those torpedoes. We're going to go ahead and launch some into this gap right up here. just in case he decides to come through this gap over here. But we already have the 2 racks on our right ready to go once again, and this is the cycling you can do with Nicholas, and it's quite fun. Like, being able to do that does make for a very compelling little ship. We're going to go ahead and fire our second set of torpedoes. We don't want to fire them all away. We're doing this for 2 reasons. One, we want to have something in reserve, but also, even if we miss, I think it's important to show that Arizona that, like, to make him lull into a false sense of security. Of course, Nicholas is relatively new. I don't think he's going to know how many sets of torpedoes we have to launch at him, and he may default to like, oh, 2 racks, cool, let's go ahead and push on in. We want that little bit of psychological warfare as we continue to launch torpedoes into that gap, because that's kind of where I thought he was going to go. But credit where credit's due, Mr. Arizona goes ahead and pops out over here, and thankfully we already have 1 set of torpedoes ready to go in the tube and our next batch about ready to go. Once again, we're going to fire 1 on the indicator, 1 short towards the island. That short towards the island is important because, once again, if I'm him and I need to duck into cover, or I'm trying to get towards the place where I can go ahead and cap and try to get my team a win, that's where I'm going to head. I'm not going to head out into open water. So, well, we're going to go for 1 bonk right here, I think. Yep, 1 bonk right there. Another set of torpedoes in the water. Let's see if we can get another bonk with this second set of torpedoes. That we can. We get the flood. He goes ahead and immediately repairs that. And we set our another set of torpedoes away as our rear launcher is about to reload once again on our starboard side. And this is why Nicholas can be a ton of fun. If you think about it, you have 4 launchers. That means you could send a salvo of torpedoes every 15 seconds. And it's just relentless. And eventually, Battleship's going to make a mistake. He's going to lose. And that's exactly what happened right there. So, guys, that is Nicholas. Like I said, I think Leaves is the way to go. If you like this video, let me know. I am using a new microphone, and I don't know if you were able to tell. Let me know what you think of it down below. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.